beyond telling the boys to go to the trenches, you also have to remunerate and encourage them financially, incentivize them. So those are good quality points. But if you also look at the issue of having how much you are having to budget for your personnel, given the mistake made by having a bloated cabinet, a bloated entourage of appointees, you see that this budget has not achieved the primal principle of cutting down. The government of Tinubu promised us that they were going to be accountable. They were also going to cut down on excesses. But here we have a budget that has a bloated sum for personnel. And in order for us not to tinker with the personnel, you attach it to pensions. You know, we don't have any problem with pensions. We feel that pensions should be paid.
Pensions and personnel was having how many? I think
six point something trillion.
Trillion, yeah.
You know, we don't have a problem.
I mean, they should have labeled it. Which one is pension? Which one is personnel? Let's know which is going where.
Unbundle it for Nigerians. Let's know how much you are paying. Unbundle it for Nigerians. Let's know how much you are really paying your bloated personnel across the country. And so that we can also dig deep and say, can we go back to the Always panel and see how we can, because when you say personnel, it means not just your entourage, but also people in the federal service. The federal service is bloated. So can we find a way to bring the Always panel forward at this time to say we have to shrink the federal system, do more privatization. We have to shrink Tinubu's cabinet. Start from shrinking his cabinet before shrinking any other thing.
All right, they were saying that they needed more than enough PPP, public-private partnership, and that they wanted, I mean, the president was saying, I mean, the government, of course, that's the end of the government, was saying they wanted lots of private, public partnership and all that. But now, looking at the budget now, we have about 1.07 trillion for healthcare, and that's just about 4.9% of the entire budget. Remember that a few months ago, representatives of the government, while a lot of persons were still talking blah blah blah, said they were going to give 10% of our budget to healthcare. But now the very first budget of the new government, and we're having less than 5%, 4.9%, which is 1.07 trillion. Donated to healthcare. Taking a look at what is allocated to education as well, 2.18 trillion. It looks big if you just look at the sum. But if you look at the entire budget, you see that that is just about 7%, a little bit north of 8%. I mean, 7.9 in total.
If you are critical about healthcare and education, you are right, because we have always we even have diplomatic agreements to say that we will give education at least 10 to 15% of the budget, you know, and we are sure that our healthcare needs a major investment. There should be at least 10 to 15% investment on healthcare, you know, given the fact that you have a Japan syndrome, you have infrastructural deficits in the healthcare sector, but when you have a bloated personnel, and you have other perks that need to be chunked off, but they cannot be chunked off because of political expediency. So the essentials, the brass tacks, they suffer. You know, education will suffer, poverty alleviation will suffer, job creation will suffer, you know. But nevertheless, if you look at the entire budget, you cannot take the budget and throw it into the dustbin. You can only be hopeful that the ministers find new ways of bringing in, like you said, private hands to bring in more revenue to the government. We should not shy away that Nigeria should make more money. Nigeria has a capacity of making more money. And that's why we need to challenge this Tinubu government. What's happening in the mining sector? You have promised us to make more money from the mining sector. What's happening in oil and gas? You have promised to block leakages. You have promised to, you've just sort of shaking up the NNPC without removing Kyari. You know,
I mean, he was leading it was leading NAPC under the other administration.
Yes.
And then
He's
now
still
here.
He's still there.
If you say stuff were wrong with the other administration, why then do we have him in charge?
In charge. So you just shaking up the NNPC. Let's assume that we can watch that new NNPC board for a couple of months and see whether we can see drastic changes that will bring in more money. You know, he said that he's going to work on making sure that we make about 10.4 trillion tax on the budget.
Yeah.
Taxes are good, but who are you taxing and how are you taxing?
The people that are already complaining.
So if you streamline the tax and you tax the rich more than the poor, or the rich more than the middle class,
which is the pattern that I think is about to be followed,
is the best way to go about it.
Right.
But when the average Nigerian salary before he comes in, you have already removed the lifeblood of the tax of the money, and you say that you are taxing, then there's bound to be problems with your taxation system.
All right, thank you very much, Femi Morgan. In case you are just joining us, you are welcome to the round table, where we do dissect issues hitting up the polity and we analyze them. For today, we have 3 interesting topics like we do bring to your hearing and to your watching every Thursday. First, we are talking about the 2024 budget, a budget of renewed hope according to the president. Renewed hope or removal of hope? Which one is it going to be at the end of the day? Then, secondly, we'll be talking about the budget recapitalization. Did I just say budget? Banks, sorry, I beg your pardon. I was just thinking about budget. Banks recapitalization. I remember that the new CBN governor, Mr. Cardoso, spoke last weekend, and he spoke loudly and clearly, and a lot of shakeups are being planned in the banking industry as we speak. We'll be going into details when we get to that topic. The third topic for the day is the Ondo crisis, the Ondo chaos, the catastrophe that had to be settled in Abuja, that had to be settled in Aso Rock. The question now is, if the president was not involved, are you saying the situation in Ondo State would have continued the way it was? What was happening? The governor was away. He was away because he had to attend to his health. And at the beginning, there was a transfer of power from the governor to his deputy. And the deputy governor became the acting governor. And the governor came back, but according to reports, from the day he came back up until this day, he has not set foot in Akure, the capital city, or anywhere near Ondo State. Many governors, southwestern governors, had gone to see him in his base in Ibadan. But the governor of Ondo State could not be resident in Oyo State, and it became controversial. Aides to the Ondo State deputy governor were sacked, and a lot of other things happened that led to the meeting in Aso Rock last week, and then they had an agreement. We'll be going into the entire details when we also get to that particular topic. But for now, Femi Morgan and myself are talking about the budget of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for 2024, the 2024 fiscal year, where Nigerians are planning to see what this new government has on board for them. Remember that this government came on board on the 29th of May, and the budget for the year 2023 was not the doing of this particular government. This is the first time that we are going to be getting a budget from the new government, and definitely that is supposed to introduce us into the new era, or whatever they had or they have in store for us. And they say it's the renewed hope budget, and we are asking, is it a renewed hope budget, or will it be the removal of hope budgets, hope removal at the end of the day? And back to you now, very quickly now, Femi Morgan. Also, the government have said that they want to do a lot of infrastructure. They want to focus on infrastructure. We could get an idea of that from the Ministry of Works and the Minister of Works, Mr. Umai, former governor of Ebonyi, who has been up and doing and pulling a lot of strings. But the questions many persons have asked is our benchmark when it comes to making money is coming from the oil sector. And the benchmark yesterday was also announced. Yes. The federal government have also said that they are hoping that the naira to the dollar dichotomy is going to be less than 800 naira.
Yes.
As we speak, is about 1,000. But do you see this being realistic? I mean, lots of persons have said, how is this going to happen? A refinery, like they said, is going to be coming up on board in December. The refinery in Port Harcourt, about 65% of the refinery will be working in this month of this. Sorry, it's not December yet. I mean, that's tomorrow. In the month of December.
Yes.
And in January, it will be getting bigger. The Dangote refinery is also said to be, they will be pumping crude to them from the government, and it will become operational. You are smiling. You don't seem to believe that in December as well. Of course, these are the things that are going to ensure that the naira gains weight and that the dollar, I mean, goes down if you compare with that of the naira.
Well, let's start with roads. Road is not in itself self-generating.
I agree.
The only thing that roads help you to do is what we call mobility.
Yeah.
And mobility helps you with time. And if you say time is money, then it brings you some level of money. If I can do a business meeting in Lagos from here, if I have a business meeting with someone in Ikoyi, and I can quickly leave from here to Ikoyi and quickly come back, then I've saved some time, which would save me some money.
Yeah.
You know, it could also help with logistics and the rest. But beyond that, there are solutions to which we can now raise some level of revenues from roads. We have had issues with tolling. Can we go back to tolling certain strategic roads?
That will be controversial with Nigerians.
Can we go back to tolling certain strategic roads? I remember the former Minister of Works already said it, that some roads were developed under a tolling framework. So the question we need to ask the new minister is that framework still operational in such a way that the ministry, through challenge tolling, private-run tolling systems. Let's emphasize on private-run. Private-run tolling systems.
So there's no, I'm coming, they will collect their monies.
Yes, private-run tolling systems where we can generate some level of funding from tolling. Else, infrastructure for roads might seem like a sinkhole. We might just have roads, and we would say we have spent money on roads.
But Femi, the situation we have now, we are in a dilemma when it comes to roads.
Yeah.
We have more than enough terrible roads in Nigeria right now. If you travel very well, like some of us do, federal roads, many federal roads are in a very deplorable state. So if you are saying you don't consider it a good enough investment.
I'm not saying I don't consider it a good enough investment.
Okay.
I'm saying that the investment on roads are good, but they are more or less what you can call symbolic investments. This is what I mean. You spend money on roads, people use the roads. People use the roads to save time, logistics and all. How will the federal government derive real revenue?
I don't think those are meant to be for revenue reasons, but for the good of the people.
Because right now, Nigeria spends 96% of its revenues on debt.
Yeah.
So all of these budgets, we need to ask ourselves the basic truth. Buhari and President Buhari, the former president, and other presidents have, sort of burdening us with that load of debt. And so we have to ask ourselves the question critically: how do we raise revenue? I remember I was talking to you about mining.
Yeah.
Now, I remember you talked about the whole idea of the oil and gas sector, how Dangote refinery was going to pump in some money, how Port Harcourt refinery was going to be brought to life within this.
And we'll have, according to them, our entire 3 refineries will be working in 2024.
Within the space of certain months.
Yeah.
These are folklores that we've had for several months, and if one is an adult and has been listening to folklore since he was born, he would be able to find a dichotomy between.
So you do not believe until you see.
I'm an average Nigerian. I've been in this country long enough to know that you could build Lagos-Ibadan Express Road for more than 24 years.
And then you will not see it.
And you will not see the road, and the contracts will be given.
But now it's done.
You know?
It's done, I guess.
For instance,
Well,
China built roads within 1 year that is longer than the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road. You know, so when you have such abysmal governance, you become skeptical.
your believability level becomes very low.
Yes. So if you say you are going to revamp Port Harcourt refinery,
no, this according to them, that is even in
the budget.
Stages.
No problem. If you are going to revamp Port Harcourt refineries, we will wait and see. But critically speaking, we have always argued that government has no business with business. Hand over those refineries to private hands. Let them run it through private. Let it be run as a private corporation. Let government do the work of regulation.
You're free.
Why? Because we know, as history and nature of the Nigerian government, that they are reckless. Corruption has stifled administrations of government-owned corporations. So all of this talk of bringing back the refinery when you should hand it over to private hands is still going to be problematic at the end. Dangote refinery, I don't want to talk too much about Dangote because that's a private corporation. But let's be sincere. Dangote has shifted the goalposts 4 or 5 times now.
Did he shift it, or some people are speaking on his behalf?
Dangote refinery launch.
I was there, and the main person who was speaking, who was virtually, speaking like it was a part of the plan, was the former CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. I was there on that day.
Yes.
And, that was even the day he told the world how they, gave him.
Well, how about his operational launch?
They've changed 2 or 3 times now.
Dangote's operational launch has shifted its goalposts for more than 2 times.
Yeah.
Let's be on the safe.
Now we are the new date is December.
So when you have shifted goalposts and you still want me to believe, what I would expect is hopefully you will not shift another goalpost. We cannot totally entrust our Dangote
that has shifted
goalposts
more than enough times.
Yes. We cannot entrust our faith, our revenue faith, on a Dangote that may eventually become a monopoly if we entrust our faith.
But the reports, I mean, because now we know how we are financing our budget.
Yeah.
I mean, we are already swimming in debt.
Yeah.
But what we do need is to wake up our economy so that we can have funds coming. It's like a business.
Yes.
If all the monies you have that you are using to resuscitate your business is coming from loans, I mean, you have to pay back those loans. Then you have to generate funds. Now, the other things that we can use to generate funds are still in the pipeline. The only thing that is certain is our oil industry, the NNPC. Offshore, onshore.
Offshore, onshore.
How much we make in a day, how much we sell in a day, how much the international community is selling 1 barrel.
Yeah.
How many millions of barrels are we? These are the things. And the mathematics now to, bring prosperity to the people is that we need to refine within. So now that, like you said, we cannot trust Dangote because it has been postponed a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then our own refinery is supposed to come on board, the Port Harcourt refinery, for December 2023. Yeah. Like you've also said, we've not seen it, we've only heard it.
Yes.